Greetings everyone, Dwyrin here, and welcome to another one of my SimCity 4 tutorials. Now, in this tutorial, I invite you to go ahead and open up your own copy of SimCity 4 and follow along with me. You aren't going to need very much installed. You will need SimCity 4, quite obviously. You will need the network add-on mod. You can find the link down below. Go ahead and grab that, as well as maybe one or two tree mods. That's it. That's it. That's all you're going to need. Not much. Not much at all. Now, if you're curious to know what we're going to be making today, we are going to make ourselves a little, rural, whoa, what is that? A little rural, suburban, kind of little neighborhood. That's the goal here. That's the goal here. And because what I'm going to do is going to look so friggin' weird, I'm going to go ahead and show you the final product. Ready to see it? Here we go. This is the final product. This is what we're creating. Alright? You see it? See what it looks like? Alright, cool. Take that away. Alright, now that you've seen what we're doing, kind of as proof that this is going to turn into a suburban, rural kind of area dealio sort of thingy. Alright, so this tutorial is aimed at anyone coming to SimCity 4 from any level. Like either you're an experienced user or an utter noob, you will be able to follow along with this tutorial. To that end, we're going to start off with something that even the newest of the new players would be able to follow along with, and that is we're going to create a grid. Oh yes, now you see why I showed you the final result, because we're going to start with a grid. And the first question we have to ask ourselves with this grid is, what size do we want it to be? We can either have it be a 1x1 block, a 2x something, or a 3x something. I'm going to go with a 1x1, though you are free to do whatever it is you wish to do. Now, since I'm going to be making 1x1 housing, I'm going to be going with a 3x3 grid. If you're going with 2x housing, I would go with a 4 or a 5x5 grid. If you are going with a 3x3 house, then I would seriously recommend going with, at the very least, a 5x5 grid, and you will see why later on. So right now, as you can see, all we are doing here is quickly laying out a nice little 3x3 grid. Now, the way I did it, you can see here, I went initially with a 60x60 into 3x3s, and I don't have it perfectly lined up, but you know what? That's completely a-okay. Chaos is our friend when creating this sort of deal. You see, the hardest part in creating a rural or suburban area, especially on a completely flat open area, is you have so many decisions. You can start going wherever you want, build wherever you want, and that can be a little bit hard to decide what to do. This way we've restricted our decisions immediately into this 60x60 grid, but we cannot have a grid. That would look very, very unusual for a suburban area. So what you can see me doing here is I'm picking random numbers. I'm using the numbers from the money I currently have, today's date, just any random numbers that I have around me, and I'm counting over 3x3 blocks and deleting what's in between. Like if I have a number 4, I start at one block of 4, one block of 3x3, count over, let's say the 4, that was my number, and then I delete everything in between. And that's all I'm going to do right across throughout all of these. And the reason for this is to start breaking up the uniformity and giving me a sense of where I want my roads to go. You can use whatever numbers you want. The main idea behind this, again, is we are simply getting chaos on our side. We don't want this to look like it was completely gridded out. We do not want this to look like it is completely uniform. So I find this method is a very, very beginner-friendly way of giving that sense of just like, oh my god, you put so much time and effort into thinking where you wanted each and every individual little like neighborhood to go, when really we did it with very, very, very minimal amounts of effort. So once again, feel free, pick whatever numbers you want, and just delete as you see here. Don't be afraid if they overlap, as some of my roads currently are doing right now. They go through multiple layers. We're gonna like that in a minute, just you wait and see. Alright, so if all's gone well so far, you have something that looks similar to what you see before you. And now you have to make the first major decision in your world. Where is your main road through your town going to start, and where is it going to stop? I chose to use the 2 sections of street that cut straight through the top 2 layers, and these middle 3 as where we're going to go. But you know what? I wasn't entirely liking just where the street was going to go, or the road rather, was going to go from there. I didn't really want it cutting off to the right. I thought that left a little bit too much maybe. I just wasn't quite feeling it. But I am using it as an indicator that I do need to go through multiple layers at a time in certain sections. So what you should be seeing now is me dragging the little street tool, or road tool, sorry, and just picking the path on where this road is going to cut through from one section to another, using the what we've currently got in terms of the streets as suggestions. It takes away some of the sheer amount of overwhelming possibilities a new SimCity 4 player could have in where to put their streets and, you know, how to make them look. And once again, doing it this way gives the sense that we've really planned this out and put a lot of detail, thought really hard into this, when again, we haven't. And after that, you'll see why we need the network add-on mod installed, because the road that we have right now does not look very good, does it? No. All of those sharp turns, those just are not pretty at all. They're just not pretty at all. So what we're gonna do is we have got to immediately smooth some of these turns out, make them a little bit more desirable. And it's actually pretty good that we got this too, because we can now look and see where roads aren't going to meet up, and as we delete things, because we can see here that I don't want one of my streets to just melt into a turn, so I can delete the street that leads into that turn, and it continues to sort of break up the grid that we've built into this wonderful like section of neighborhoods that's just developing all by themselves almost without even our interactions. Like, yeah, there's not going to be a road there, that wouldn't make any sense. So okay, yeah, this little street here is going to go and disappear. And you know what remains? All those sharp turns. Oh, no. All we need to do is, as you see here, what I've been doing, just trying to, you know, make them connect a little bit more rather than have this weird staircase-like feel to my entire frigging road. No. Do not want staircases. Do not want staircases. So as you can see here, all we're doing, smoothing out those turns. Admittedly, it took me a few tries to do it, but it's well worth the effort once you get what you're looking for. Everything works very well, as you can see here. If something doesn't want to fit, just drag it past, delete the extra, and most importantly, you can put a single road, as you've seen me do repeatedly now, at the curve in order to smooth it out. Since you do have the NAM installed, feel free to also use 90-degree turns. I use that as well. Those do look quite well. I wouldn't overuse them, but you know, you can use them. Just have a nice little mixture of 90s and diagonals and, you know, things like that. Trying to make your street, or your road rather, look nice and gentle. That's the goal here. That's all. Nice gentle road established. Got our little main route through town. Then the outer edge of our grid no longer has any relevance to us because we already have our way from one point to another. So we can delete that. And our first steps to truly getting rid of our grid have begun. Our city is taking place right before our eyes. Now, you'll also notice that in long stretches of little straightaways for on that road, I can put my street back across because it makes sense. There would be a street there. Alright, and one last thing that I'm going to do before I start deciding where my neighborhoods are going is I'm going to put in the commercial. I want commercial to be all along the main street leading through our town. That's just something that I've decided. You don't have to decide that in your town. Your town is your creation. You can do whatever you want with it. But I want that there, and I want it to be uninterrupted. So I'm going to zone that in right now so I know exactly how much room that main road's going to need with the buildings on it. So that's what we're doing here. Just zoning that in quickly so we can get on to more fun things. Alright, there we go. All zoned. And now that that's out of the way, we can ask ourselves lovely little questions like, why does that road turn? It's gotta turn for a reason. Someone wasn't just drunk while they were laying out roads. So you can make up little stories in your town. Like right here, I imagine that this road turned because there was like a little bit of a neighborhood back in there, complete with a lovely little cul-de-sac. So the road had to turn to go around that little neighborhood. Does that make any sense? No, obviously it doesn't. It would be the other way around. I think the road would come first and then the neighborhoods later, probably, I don't know. But it doesn't matter if it doesn't make 100 believable, reality and all that kind of stuff. That's fine, that's fine. The most important part is that it will look okay. And that's what we're going for. This thing's gonna look pretty good. And then once we have that first neighborhood, everything starts taking shape. Like this neighborhood, where do you want it to go? Where do you want it to connect? I decided that mine was going to have 2 different ways to connect. So you can see I have the road and I branched it out and smoothed the lovely little turn that we had. And then from there, it's like, okay, we got too much space. Something else has got to go in here. So I think that there's going to be another little neighborhood branching north and south over here. And it's going to just cut straight through. And keep in mind the spacing when you're doing this. Because we're going to need at least 1 square spacing, which you saw in the final product, because we're going to be putting in quite a few trees in here. Quite a few trees indeed. But where I have space and I don't have a neighborhood yet, you can just go crazy. You can have whatever kind of neighborhood you want back in there. I like diagonals and these little turns, so I kind of go a little bit crazy with them. A little bit crazy, just a little bit maybe a touch. You don't have to. If you like straight neighborhoods, then you can just go and draw singular lines, and that's completely fine. That's completely fine. If you like more squared neighborhoods, that's completely fine too. There's no wrong way to do this. There's no wrong way to do this. You already made the most important decisions when you were laying out your grid. I'm deciding where things are going to go based on those 1-by-1 houses we make, and we've already pre-built for that. We've already made that decision. So if you wanted the 3s, you probably already pre-built that as well. 3s, 2s, whatever you want. Or, maybe you decide you want a mixture. That's completely fine. All of that is completely okay. The main part here is just to decide where things are going to go. And if you're having trouble deciding at all, that's what the grid is for. That is there to help you. That is your best friend. Just use the grid. Zone along that if you want. Destroy a few roads to break up the monotony. But a lot of it's already there, pre-built for you. And what's left over is just for you to customize it and tweak it if you think, maybe something should go in here, or, ooh, no, these are too close, I should get rid of this and maybe move that over there. That's what this is for. And I think anyone coming to SimCity 4, wanting to do a city like this, or a neighborhood like this, absolutely should not have any trouble having fun with this building technique. Because as you can see before you, I am not doing anything that I have not already told you. It's all here, albeit, a little bit time-lapsed. A little bit sped up there, a little bit, just a little bit. But I'm doing exactly what I've told you. The edges I'm breaking up. The reason being for that is it's really important to break up those edges so it does not look like we started off with a giant grid. That instead we went through this wonderful little town that we're creating, and we just created every single freaking little neighborhood exactly as we wanted it. When really, we're only touching up the edges here and there, making a few neighborhoods look a little bit different, giving them their own little flavor, their own little personality, making sure we've got some variation back on in there. But a lot of that center is still just the grid that we started off with. A lot of it is so that grid, and that's completely fine. That's why it was there in the first place. And once we have the neighborhoods as we want them, then it's time to zone, which is really, really easy because we've actually already zoned this when we were first making the grid itself. We know what's going in here, and we hopefully built accordingly. We built exactly accordingly. We wanted 1 by 1, so that's what we put in. If you deleted a little bit too much, like I did as you saw, I just adapted, like, okay, there's one section where there's a couple of 3x3s or 3 by whatever was in there. That's completely fine too, and it's even better that way because it looks like there's just so much more happening in these neighborhoods because even the houses are going to be different. And there's like different types of neighborhoods, and it all just comes together and looks really, really beautiful. Again, my opinion only. But yeah, once you've got the neighborhoods, zoning, so simple. So simple. We already took care of all the hard part. Hard part was deciding what they were going to look like. All we have to do now is just go along, in my case, clicking every single square. A little bit monotonous, but I think the end result definitely makes it worth it. If you're not trying this at home right now, I recommend you do so. And if you do, feel free to send screenshots or whatever. Make a video of your own little city and show us how it turned out. Is it your first time creating a suburban area? Do you like the result? All those good things. Alright, next up comes the most important part of this, in my opinion, and that's putting in the trees. The trees really, really sell the image, and just kind of, oddly enough, just kind of blend your city together, right? It's almost like we're putting in the shading, like we're making a portrait, and now it's time to like get all the different kind of like shades and textures of a person's like skin tone, like all blended nicely so they don't look all monochrome or whatever. Maybe a bad analogy, I don't know. But that, in my opinion, is what trees do. And I'm using just 3 different types. Right now I'm putting in my base, because I like the way it looks. I'm a fan of this. You can use whatever tree mods you want, whatever you think looks nice and good. Remember, it's your town. You can have whatever it is you want in there. Whatever you want in there. I'm just choosing these. Let's see, do I remember which ones I put in? I'm putting in some conifers, and I don't know. I cannot actually make out the text right now. But essentially, I'm putting in a lighter tree, and then I'm highlighting it. I'm giving it a little bit of highlight with some darker trees, and then I'm putting in something that's like a cross between the two, and I'm going to go over the area and just blend it all together. I'm not sure if I do that on camera. I think I don't, now that I think about it. But yeah, that's pretty much what I do. A lighter, a darker, and then a nice little blend. So everything really comes out at you as a nice, lovely little section here. I mean, even right now, who would have thought that what we have right here came from a 60 by 60 grid? I bet you never would have. Now the final result, assuming of course you remembered to zone the other side of the road as well, is you should have an area that develops fairly quickly. Now I will give you one bit of warning. I have another region in my town, so I don't have, or another, what? No, I have another city in my region, there we go. So I didn't have to build a lot of industry for this particular city. You might have to, and that's completely okay, because if you have 60 by 60 grids, you can do something similar to this and make a lot more gridded of an area and just make that into an industrial area. I wouldn't do heavy industry. I would probably do light or medium for something like this, probably light, but that's completely a-okay. Or for an area like this, you can do farms. I do put farms in this particular city as well, and I thought the outcome was fairly nice, as you'll see in a moment. But one of those will be probably required. Your city might not grow immediately, will need some industrial. I already have mine. Once you place yours, you should get results exactly similar to this one as well. And as you can see here, the final result. Since you know what I did to make this, you can probably spot the extra grids that I used. But all in all, it came out fairly well, I have to say. A little bit unrealistic. There should be a road at the west side of the map right now, connecting both of those particular neighborhoods, or those particular roads on up. I didn't do that. I might do that in the future, who knows. But all in all, I am a big fan of how this turned out. It looks like I spent so much time and effort creating this, when really, maybe you were brand new to SimCity, maybe you can't imagine how to, really get into the nitty-gritty and design every neighborhood exactly as you want. Well, this is a nice, cute little way of doing that. Still being able to find something that you're happy with, something you like looking at, without either knowing how to do something like that, or maybe you just don't have the time to get on that level of detail. Either way, this is a nice, quick little way to make really, really nice urban, suburban, or rural type areas without spending a great deal of time doing it. And of course, that doesn't necessarily have to be true. If you develop something like this, and you thought to yourself, you know what? I think I can touch this area up and make it look a little bit more like something else. Go ahead and do so. Go ahead and tweak anything that you want. It's your city. You can have fun doing anything. As you'll see, I do have farming in here. If you went the farming route, don't be like me. Don't be like me. Don't put it in between like that. That was really bad. I should have an entire square devoted to farming, and I don't. If I was really smart, I would have realized that, and I would have planned accordingly. Unfortunately, I wasn't. But that's all right. I think you'll agree what we wound up with is good enough. Is definitely good enough. So, I hope you like this little tutorial. I hope you've been able to make a little suburban or rural-ish type area as a result. Do feel free to drop screenshots or whatever of your creations in the chat. I will go back and allow those to be, posted. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I might do a bit more of an advanced one later on, with something that's not completely flat like we see here. Maybe one involving roads, not roads, but, roads, but rivers and mountains and things like that, and how to build when you can't do a grid. That could be a cool addition. That could be a cool addition. I might do that one. You can look forward to that one in the future, I think. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Remember to like and or subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everyone.